Chocolate biscuit. Chocolate biscuit. And I still remember where I was when I first heard those words. How it made me feel. I was 8 years old. It was Christmas. My grandfather just came out with it. Do you want a chocolate biscuit? A chocolate biscuit. Two things that to my 8-year-old mind were as close to heaven as I could imagine in one. The crunchy oatmeal butteriness of a biscuit actually combined with the creamy, sweet yumminess of chocolate. And how did I feel when I bit into this delicious first chocolate digestive, you ask? Well, I felt privileged. I felt renewed. I felt special. And on that day, I knew my life would never be the same again. Now, I didn't know I had a problem until a kindly geography master told me what I'm going to tell you now. Life is about more than biscuits. Certainly, they tasted good. Of course, they hadn't made me ill. Naturally, I thought I could handle them. But let me tell you, I couldn't. No one can. Many people say, I've eaten my fill of chocolate biscuits and I'm fine. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not fine. You're very far from being fine. Just imagine, for the moment, how different your life would be if you hadn't spent so much of it scoffing down those delicious discs of danger. Now, on the one hand, chocolate biscuits are a delicious, nutritious snack food. On the other, they are a dangerous parasite gnawing at the very heart, the very fabric of our society. And we know what we do with parasites, don't we? We cut them out! Now, when dear old Mr. Gregory pointed out the error of my ways, well, I was appalled by what I'd done. What society had allowed me to do. And I tell you this, from that day, no chocolate biscuit has passed my lips, and I'm stronger, significantly stronger for it. But I was lucky. I was stopped in time. I was still young. With hard work, extra lessons, and double homework, in a few short years, I was back on track. Now, it has been estimated that the average 35-year-old has spent 67% of their life eating chocolate biscuits. 67%! And that's just eating them. Imagine how much time is spent buying the things, opening the packets, dunking them. We must crush this problem and crush it now. Do you want to live in a country which lags behind all others just because we cannot shake off the grip of a crunchy confectionery? Do you think the Germans or the French or the Japanese waste their time biting on bourbons with their beverages? Of course not. Well, I for one am going to do something about it. I demand that all production, distribution and consumption of chocolate biscuits ends now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but now and forever. My friends, until we face this challenge and face it together, this country, this nation will continue to crumble. We will never again be able to call ourselves Great Biscuit, Britain. My friends, it is time for everyone, all of us, to break away from those tempting treats, rise up against them, and in one clear voice proclaim, "Burn the biscuits! Burn the biscuits! Burn the biscuits!"
That wasn't a bad speech. Don't get carried away there. The subject matter was pretty absurd, but he definitely knew how to present an argument. When you make a speech or give a presentation, the way you do it is almost as important as what you say. Let's have a look at what made that a good speech. He knew his subject well.
The crunchy oatmeal butteriness of a biscuit.
He made his points in a sequence so that the argument was clear.
Now, on the one hand, chocolate biscuits are a delicious, nutritious snack food. On the other, they are a dangerous parasite gnawing at the very heart, the very fabric of our society.
He looked confident and smiled at his audience. He spoke clearly and with a bit of flair.
Do you think the Germans or the French or the Japanese waste their time biting on bourbons with their beverages?
And he used humour to make his speech more entertaining. When you make a really good speech, people remember it. A lot of great speeches have gone down in history. But the speech makers are remembered too, especially if they've given great performances.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I was one of the lucky people in life. I had wonderful parents, a great upbringing. I had marvellous teachers. I had people that guided and helped me all through my life. I've got a wonderful wife and family. And I want to give something back to the society and the country in which I live and in which I believe.
To those waiting with bated breath for that favourite media catchphrase, the U-turn, I have only one thing to say. U-turn if you want to. The ladies not for turning.
But if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
When making a speech, be well prepared.
Blah 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 blah.
Try to learn the speech.
Blah 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 blah.
Or work from notes.
Blah 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 blah.
Be entertaining, but don't let humour overshadow the points you're trying to make. Speak slowly and include pauses.
Blah 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 blah.
And remember to look at your audience. And smile when it's appropriate.
Making a speech can be nerve-wracking, but if you're well prepared and you've really considered all the issues and viewpoints, you'll be able to deliver a strong argument with confidence.
Just as there are two sides in a game of football or cricket, there are two sides to every argument.
So when you come to write a speech, it's good to know the other point of view, so you know what to argue against. So which is better, football or cricket?
Football is much better than cricket.
The best sport ever is cricket.
Football is much more fun than cricket.
There's no contest. Cricket is the best.
It's obvious that football's better than cricket because it's so fast-moving and exciting that the action's non-stop.
Yes, but a game of cricket isn't just over in 90 minutes. It can go on for up to 5 days, so you can enjoy it for much longer.
The atmosphere of a football match is electric, with the crowd all singing songs and cheering. Goal!
Cricket is much more relaxing. It's still exciting to watch, but you can make a whole day of it.
Football season's longer. Lasts for 9 months and they play every week.
But cricket is played in the summer months, so the weather can be fantastic.
Football teams have a much stronger identity with their own colours and strip.
A cricketer's clothes are white every season, so supporters don't have to go out and buy a new shirt every year. They show up really well against the grass, and they don't go out of fashion.
The rules are much more straightforward in football, and the scoring system's easier to follow.
Yes, but the scoring system in cricket is much more sophisticated. In football, all you have to do is score a goal. In cricket, there are many different ways to score points.
You can play football in all weathers. Footballers aren't afraid of a bit of rain. They don't run for cover.
Yes, but cricket is a dangerous game. You can tell that by all the padding we use. We don't play in the rain so as to avoid getting injured.
There are loads of football teams you can support all over the country. Cricket has far fewer.
Yes, but cricket has been around much longer than football. It was invented over 300 years ago, so clubs have a lot more history.
A football match is always played to the end to get a result, even if it has to go to a penalty shootout or has to be replayed. In cricket, if you don't finish the match, it's called a draw.
Maybe, but the match is still satisfying. The skills of cricketers are so varied, you need to be able to bat, bowl, and field.
Football's a game for young people, for men and women at the peak of their physical fitness.
You also have to be fit to play cricket, but you can play it at a higher level, to a much older age.
Football is far better than cricket.
Cricket is far better than football.
Cricket or football? I think I might take a rain check on that. When you're a journalist, whether you work in print or on television, you really have to investigate all sides of a subject or issue. You may know which side you favour, but you have to consider the facts and listen to other points of view before you can put your argument together. So, let's look at a more serious issue. Should advertisers be able to target young children? In today's world, we see advertising and marketing everywhere. Most people take it for granted, and on the surface it seems harmless enough, but there are concerns about the way it impacts on young children. So, why do some advertisers deliberately target children?
Children are really a key target audience, much more than they were 10 or 20 years ago. That's because they don't just buy toys for themselves and kids' products, they actually persuade their parents to buy a lot of the brands they want.
Do you know
Lego!
Lego! Have you all got Lego?
Yes! A stack of it.
And who knows? Barbie! And who knows?
I have Pepsi!
You're very smart. You can see through the back of these cards, can't you?
Yeah, I like Pepsi.
These kids today are around about 2 to 4 years old, and that's when advertising really starts to kick home, around about 3. We found that through research. It can start as early as 1.5.
I've got another one to show you. Do you know what this one is?
No.
No, this is a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a chocolate?
The research is useful because a lot of what I do is to try and tell advertisers and manufacturers what works in packaging and what works in commercials. If you choose the wrong logo, the packaging doesn't stand out from the shelf, and when you go down a shopping aisle with a screaming child in the trolley, they don't turn their head and say, "Mummy, I want this particular product."
They watch a television ad, they read a brochure, they watch what their friends have got. The playground cred is very important. And then they just slowly needle their parents again and again until they get it. When we're thinking about writing advertising, even for adult products, quite often we'll actually think about children as well. And that's because children are much easier to reach with advertising. They like advertising, they pick up on it really fast. And quite often we can exploit that relationship and get them actually pestering their parents with the products.
Advertisers like targeting children because they pick up messages faster than adults. The advertisers also know children will pester their parents for the brands they want. But is there any harm in that?
This is quite a big group. Let's start with this one first. We've got Adidas, I'm just calling these out for the tape. Adidas, Nike, Puma, Fila, Umbro, Head, LSE, Reebok and Kappa. Why do they all group together?
Because they're the biggest. They're the biggest brands.
And they're the biggest. When you say the biggest, what do you mean?
Most popular. Most popular.
Why is it better to have ones with a brand name?
It's got more brands and people fashion see. Otherwise, if people see you and say, "Where'd you get that from?" And then if it's like a shop name, they'll like think you're weird.
Yeah, if you're gonna buy something, you should like go for the more top selling type of thing, because then it's like the talk of the like school or whatever. It's more like getting around.
The most important thing about a brand is a stamp of authenticity. In the playground, if you have the wrong type of training shoes, you are excluded. The thing about kids is, yes, they are keen to be individuals, but there's nothing worse than not being the right type of individual, which is included in the group. So brands have that real power to show that you are the right sort of kid.
As a result of advertising, some children become obsessed with certain brands, while others are bullied for not having the right brands. It can also be difficult for parents because often they just can't afford to buy the exact products their children want.
I'm concerned about advertising toys. It's something we've never done here. I guess it was during the last recession. I would sit with my kids on a Saturday morning. I was having a cup of tea and a piece of toast, and they were watching children's television. And there was commercial after commercial trying to sell toys to kids. And my children would be asking if they could have it. I just thought how painful it would be if you were a father who'd lost his job, were already feeling bad about not being able to support your family in the way you wanted to. The pain that your kid's constantly saying, "Could I have that, Dad?" and you knowing there was no way you could afford it.
Most children don't have spending power of their own, so they pester their parents for products. This can put a lot of pressure on parents, especially if they can't afford the brands their children choose. There's no doubt that young children are affected by advertising, and not all of its influences are good. But there are two sides to every argument, so it must have some benefits as well.
The really big benefit of marketing to kids is actually that kids do actually get products they want. In the old days, kids tended to get products their parents wanted to give them. But when you actually look at what kids have today, I mean, I'd love to be a kid today. You've got a Sony PlayStation with amazing software on it that you can do brilliant things, which actually only a kid could have really thought of that. You've got toys that just go that much further than ever before. You've got videos and TV programs which are brilliant. Now, really, that does come out of kids' marketing, because it's through kids' marketing that people have actually done the research into kids and found out how they work and what they want. And that's how marketeers have become responsive to them in terms of products they give them. So I would say if a kid actually said to me, you know, what's the point of all this money and effort going into kids' marketing? I'd actually say that You've got marketeers there that actually want to understand you and give you the products you want.
So the market research that goes with advertising means children are asked for their opinions about brands and products. Their views play a part in the development of new merchandise for the future. Many children appreciate advertising. If it didn't exist, how would they get to know about the many products that are available for them? And some advertising can even benefit schools. Jazzy books are exercise books given away to schools with advertisements for brands like BT, Pepsi, Heinz and Kodak on the covers.
Here's a Jazzy book. It's colourful. It contains a series of sponsored advertiser panels within the book and on the outside. It provides appropriate businesses with an opportunity to interact with children in the classroom.
Jazzy books aren't alone. Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Parker Pens, Barclays Bank, Walker's Crisps and many more. They're all marketing today in schools.
I think it's interesting that a most recent survey showed that 85% of schools in the country, and there are 32,000 of them, have been involved in the last year in some form of commercial activity within the classroom. That could typically take the form of, for example, a poster on the wall, which perhaps features a brand or a branded message. It might, as I've described, include teaching materials, perhaps a video or a teaching pack. And indeed, at any point in the year, it's quite possible that the children and the families will be engaged in the collection of vouchers to purchase equipment.
Advertising and sponsorship often go together, and many schools and community projects have been supplied with books and other equipment by well-known companies. So what do you think? Is it harmless to advertise to children, or does it put pressure on them and their parents to buy certain brands? I told you, there were two sides to every argument. When you write an argument, either for a speech or a report of some kind, it's useful to prepare by drawing a line down the middle of a piece of paper like this, then note down all the points for the argument on one side and all the points against down the other. There's nothing like a good argument, and if you know your subject, that's what you'll be able to write. Now, I'm off to watch football, maybe cricket. Actually, I'm a rugby man myself.